Hey, what's up guys? It's Roy here. So today's video is going to answer the question, can a base model MacBook Air M2 like this one right here do Final Cut Pro editing with 4K, 1080, you name it. So in this video, I'm going to do a very similar video like I did with my Mac Mini M2, but the biggest difference with the MacBook Air versus that Mac Mini is that one, that Mac Mini has fans, whereas this is a fanless design. And two, you're talking about a little bit of price difference as well, because with the MacBook Air, you're looking at about $999 if you go buy one new right now, depending on where you go. Now, the used market with these right now is insane. Like in my area on Facebook, I found this for anywhere from $700 to $800. So it's starting to close that gap a little bit more with a MacBook Air versus the Mac Mini. And you got the portability with this one. But with all that being said, let's jump into Final Cut Pro. Let's play around with it. Let's skim through some videos and let's see if we get that beach ball of death. And if we do, how often. So let's jump right into it. Okay, so I already have a 4K video folder that I've put aside. It's actually from a charging station video review that I have done. And one thing that I'm going to do a little bit different with this test is I'm actually going to have it not plugged in, and I'm not going to have it plugged up to an external monitor. I will do a test with it plugged up to my LG external monitor here to see if there's any differences in exporting, but it's on its own power and it's not plugged into anything. So I'm going to go ahead and click new project and just do 4K test, and I'm going to leave the video format at 4K, the resolution at 3840 by 2160 at 23.98 frame rate, and I'm going to do the rendering at Apple ProRes 422 LT, which you can do ProRes 422, but to be honest with you guys, I have not noticed a major difference, if any, when I do it in LTT. But let's go ahead and just throw in some stuff here. So here's a talking head video that if you haven't seen this video yet, go and check it out. But with that being said, I have the quality set to better quality for the playback. This is a 4K video that I shot with my Sony ZV-E10, which is what I'm recording with right now. And as I'm just scrubbing through, let me just go ahead and close this out here. It is doing just fine. So I'm going to push the space bar. So let's see if it plays. Playing just fine. Let me go to another part of the video. And 5-in-1 dual make it a lot easier for one hand actual charge. And then of course, so at this moment, guys, so far doing just fine. It just looks really, and as you can see there, as well, and of course, button, no problems at all with playback for the 4K. So far so good. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually throw in some of these other like B-roll shots that I had for the video. And I'm just going to kind of throw them in here and there so that way, you know, we can see how it goes from one video to another. So let's go ahead and play that. Circles as well, and of course the charging pad, that's actually the base as well, that's white as well. And as you can see, guys, no issues at all with that. So two different types of videos, both are 4K, both playing in better quality on my screen here. No issues at all so far. Now, one thing I want to do is play around with some different text and some transitions and stuff like that. Now, with my Mac Mini M2 test, doing 3D text kind of gave it a little bit of a stuttering, which is understandable with a base model, which is 8 gigs, by the way, and so 8 gigs of unified memory and 256 gigs of SSD storage with this one here. So the point is I understand it's going to have some hiccups, but it's okay because it's still way cheaper than a MacBook Pro like M2 Pro or an M2 Max. So let's play around with that. So let's throw in, I don't know, let's throw in some different titles here from my MKBHD kind of pack that I have here. So let's see how these play. This charging station is the back, and the so completely fine with that title. To charge one extra device that could be a phone, a 10-watt
zoom in just fine.
And that's going to allow you to, like I said, charge an extra device.
Skip up.
Now, with the actual MagSafe charger for the phone,
so that one played just fine, but it did a little bit of stuttering, so nothing terrible, but it did a little bit of stuttering there. That organic one, just fine once again.
Is that the MagSafe just a little bit further than the actual,
and then this point one here
so when you have your
plays just fine. So with those right there, there's only one that kind of gave it a little bit of a stutter, but if I put it in the playback quality to just better performance, that's not going to give you any issues at all. But once again, it's 4K doing that, we're just fine. Now if I throw in the basic 3D titles, this is where it's going to start to kind of show it a little bit. So let me make this screen a little bit bigger for us here. And let's play with that one. So let's go ahead and do that 3D one. So if you noticed right there, it completely started stuttering, and then it goes right back into the smoothness. So with those 3D titles, just like the Mac Mini M2, those 3D titles are going to give it a little bit of a run for its money. My workflow is very simple when it comes to my YouTube channel and my videos. As you can tell with a lot of my videos, I do a lot of titles and stuff like that, like with punching in like the prices and stuff like that and links. But in reality, you know, if you're going crazy hardcore, even then it's still going to do a pretty decent job. So with that being said, now let's go ahead and add just a couple of more things to this video real quick. You know, just throw in some random things, some different movements here, like even like these transitions for my MKBHD pack. I'm gonna just kind of blade tool this up a little bit and throw these in there. So let's play those real quick.
And get a fast charge with it, but you gotta make sure.
So that one did just fine.
Because if you're not going to get the fast wireless charge.
That one did just fine.
This product, it is.
And that one did just fine. So for transitions and all that, smooth playback in better quality. So big 2 thumbs up so far, guys. But what y'all came here for is export times, and that's what I want to give you now. So this is an 8-minute video, 4K, some different transitions and stuff like that in there. I'm going to go ahead and throw in some music as well, because I like to have a lot of music sometimes in the background of my videos. So let's just throw this just kind of at the bottom. All right, so we got that. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw in kind of like my, you know, subscribe now button there. Let me go ahead into the green screen thing and just kind of fix that. So now let me turn the volume down. So even with the music, all that, I mean, it's playing back just fine, super, super smooth. I'm gonna go ahead and do the settings. So the format is computer. The video codec is gonna be H.264 single pass faster, so faster encode. Resolution is gonna be at 3840 by 2160. The color space is standard Rec 709. Audio format's AAC. I'm gonna do the action as save only, and the file, it's a .mp4 file, which is ideal for YouTube videos, and we're sitting at 3.02 gigs as far as the file size goes. So I am going to grab my iPhone 14 Pro here. Let's get the clock going, and I'll do a little stopwatch action here. So 3, 2, 1. And we are off. So basically right now it's going to export it, and we'll see how fast this does. So once again, it's an 8-minute video. We got some different titles in there. We have some different little transitions going on, music all throughout the background, and a couple of other random little things in there. So realistically, I'm gonna expect this probably to maybe hit anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes, just depending on how fast this performs. Right now we're sitting at 38 seconds and we're sitting at 15%, so far promising. But let's go ahead and let this get through, and let's see where we're at 100%. All right, guys, we're done. We're at 100%, and we're sitting at roughly 4 minutes and 12 seconds. So not that bad at all for a base model MacBook Air. Like, this blows any of my Windows computers out of the water that I've ever used in the past when it comes to video editing. Like my gaming laptop that I owned, you know, that had 32 gigs of RAM and a really nice Intel processor and blah, 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 blah. And that thing took forever. And this is a base model MacBook Air that's super thin, 8 gigs, nothing super crazy. And it's literally exporting it in half the time of what the actual video is. So that is extremely promising. And that is, mind you, not hooked up to any power. So it's just on its own. And it's also not hooked up to an external monitor or anything like that. Now, for the folks that maybe record in 4K but want to upload in 1080 for YouTube, just because most people tend to kind of gravitate towards using products that don't cast in 4K, like maybe their TV, or maybe most TVs have 4K, but maybe they're watching it on a 1080 monitor at home. Maybe they're watching it on their phone that doesn't have a 4K or a quad HD type of display. So not being able to take advantage of that full 4K video, then you can, obviously upload a video in 1080. And I'm going to keep everything the same, but just change the resolution. Now it slashes the file size down to 1.22 gigs. Everything else is going to remain the same. I'm going to leave it at 8-minute video. For the next couple of video tests, I'm going to shorten this video down just for purposes of time for myself in this video. But I'm going to leave it at 8 minutes. We're at 1.22 gigs. And in 3, 2, 1, here we go. So this, guys, should go quite a bit faster, because with it uploading in 4K, you're obviously going to take a little bit of time. But when you slash that down to 1080, this thing is going to blaze through it. So just to kind of give you an idea, if you are a content creator on YouTube and whatever, TikTok, whatever, and you're only going to be doing 1080 stuff, this is a no-brainer when it comes to a computer if you want that portability, screen, keyboard, everything like that. Now, granted, you could just buy a Mac Mini for $499 and save quite a bit of money if you already have the other peripherals like the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, some external speakers, which you definitely want speakers if you're using the Mac Mini, because those speakers absolutely are garbage. But the point is, you really have some options here if you like to record in 1080, or if you're doing some photography and thumbnail editing and stuff like that. This MacBook Air is more than capable at the base model level here. And just as I've been blabbing, it's only been 1 minute and 20 seconds and we're already at 75%. This thing is zooming through an 8-minute 1080 export right now. We're sitting at 87%, 88, 89, 90. I can't even count this fast. So we're literally going to probably hit it under 2 minutes, and it's an 8-minute 1080 video now. So we're sitting, okay, 3, 2, 1, stop. 1 minute and 47 seconds. That's where it just stopped with the export time for a 1080, 4K video that we're exporting in 1080, 8 minutes long with all those same things. That's impressive, guys. Super impressive. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go ahead and hook it up to the external monitor here, and we're going to run the same test and just see if we're having it hooked up to an external monitor, which is going to be powered through the USB-C cable. So it's just going to be plugged directly into my monitor. So it's all through the Thunderbolt port here on the MacBook Air. And we'll see if that changes any of our export times versus what we just got done doing. All right, so now I have it hooked up to my 27-inch 4K LG monitor here. Got my keyboard, got my Logitech mouse here. So I'm going to keep everything the same just for testing purposes here. But as it's hooked up to the actual monitor here, scrubbing through it just fine, no issues at all. Let's just play some parts. So now let's go ahead and jump into the exporting test once again. This time we're going to go ahead and do 4K again. Jumps back up to 3.02 gigs. Everything else is going to remain the same. And let's see if that changes anything. So let's go ahead and get the clock started. So we got the clock going here. And so we'll see how fast it goes. But we'll see what we can get, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, so there we have it. We are sitting at 4 minutes and 34 seconds. So a little bit slower using an external monitor and having it hooked up via the USB-C charging cable to the monitor. So not much of a difference, but there is a little difference, because that's something I noticed in video reviews when people are doing these types of reviews, is that they're not hooking it up to an external monitor to see how big of a difference it is. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to shorten this down. So let's go ahead and I'm going to do an export test here real quick, and let's see, we're going to do 1080. It's a 5-minute video, and we'll just see, just out of fun, we'll start it here. And we'll see how fast it does with it being a 1080 5-minute video. If I had to guess, with it being hooked up to an external monitor, we're probably going to be looking at probably about a minute. If I had to guess, maybe a minute and 10, 15 seconds. Right now, for example, we're just sitting at about 22, 23 seconds, and it's already at 35%. So I mean, it's zooming through this 1080 stuff. So once again, if you are someone that's recording in 1080 or even recording in 4K but exporting in 1080 to just get a little bit more detail with your 1080 shot, this right here, guys, this thing is just stupid fast when it comes down to it. All right, so now we're getting to about 96, 97%. So let it give me the official thumbs up, and we are done. And we're sitting at 108. So I was dang close on my guess, but a minute and 8 seconds to do a export of a 5-minute 1080 video. That's just crazy. So the last thing I'm going to do before we end this video is do a little bit of a stress test with it. So I'm going to just open up Chrome. I'm going to open up Safari. Remind me later. We'll do all these things here. So I'm just going to kind of open up some various tabs, maybe about 15 or 20 different tabs with Safari here. And realistically, guys, I mean, for the most part, I don't know about y'all, but I don't have a ton of tabs open in the background. I know a lot of people will do videos like this and, put, a ton of different tabs and all these different stresses on the computer. But in reality, I'm really particular for some reason about that. I always like to have tabs closed out. Even on my iPhone, I like to have my background kind of just cleaned up and not a bunch of tabs open and just stuff like that. So that's just me personally. But for the video purposes, I just at least want to, have a few tabs. So I think I'm sitting at about 20 tabs open in Google Chrome and about 15 to 20 tabs open in Safari. And so now let's go ahead and play around with that and let's see if it changes anything. So let's go ahead and go back to 4K. And I'm just going to leave it at faster, to be honest with you. Better quality is just going to be slower, there's no doubt. But with this, a 5-minute video at 4K, we're sitting at 1.89 gigs. So fairly decent file size when it comes to just a 5-minute 4K video. So 3, 2, 1. So got it going here. So with it being a stress test, we'll see where it leaves us at with the 5-minute video. So doing the other one, we'll see kind of where we're at with this, and we'll be right back. All right, so I'm jumping back in here real quick. We're sitting at about 96, 97% at the moment. So any second now, we'll be hitting that 100%. So I'm just waiting for it to give me the official thumbs up that it is done. And there we go. So we're sitting at 2 minutes and 39 seconds here, which is a little bit slower, but not bad, because if you think about it, once again, that's right at almost half of what a 5-minute video is, with a bunch of different tabs open in the background. So not that bad, to be honest with you. So even with it having a quote-unquote stress a little bit on it, it actually performed quite nicely. And we're going to end the video with a 1080 export. And just to kind of see, now this drops significantly down to 760 megabytes as far as a file size goes. And just for jollies, let's go ahead and open a few more things in the background. So let's just do that. This Luminar 4 that I use for video editing actually might put it over the top a little bit. So a few more things open, but with it being a 1081, it should be pretty quick. So we'll see how this plays with a 1080 export with all those. So 3, 2, 1. And we'll see how 1080 does. So as we're just talking, it's already at about 9%, or excuse me, about 10, 13, 14 seconds. We're sitting at about 14%. So with a few extra things open in the background, it might not affect it that much. In reality, guys, as this is doing this, I can do my quote-unquote closing for the video. But I really think that if you're looking at a MacBook Air M2, if you are a content creator, this is more than capable to withstand someone's workload. For me, who's a content creator on YouTube, who's doing 4K videos, who's doing a lot of different thumbnails and editing, using it on the side for photography stuff, ultimately, guys, it's performed just fine. If anything, I would maybe, like, I just stopped it, so minute and 12 right there, minute 12. That's fast. So the point is, guys, is you're gonna be just fine with this computer here. If you want to jump up to 16 gigs, if you are someone that's going to be doing some bigger files and stuff like that, or more stress or strenuous things on the RAM, then recommend jumping up to the 16 gig model. But like I said, being able to find a used one of these for around $700-800 right now, it's a compelling argument if you don't have the extra peripherals. If you do have the extras, obviously get the Mac Mini, but to be able to take this on the go and have a computer, if you wanted to go to a coffee shop or just take it with you on family trips or whatever, this is a really pretty amazing machine, even at the base model. And I've seen plenty of videos out there that kind of knock it and say don't buy it. But in reality, guys, I mean, proof is in the pudding, right? And that just showed you that it's fully capable of editing 4K videos. Now, like I said, if you're getting crazy with like raw footage and stuff like that, it's going to be a little more stressful. But once again, just shooting it out of my ZVE10, it did completely fine. So there we have it, guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think. If there's another test you'd like for me to do while I have this in my possession, let me know down in the comments as well. But go ahead and hit that like button if you liked the video. If you loved it, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell for up-to-date content. So be safe. God bless. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.